Hey gang, how you doing? I do apologise that I haven't got my normal background on. For some reason Zoom doesn't like me today. It wouldn't let me zoom into the group, so unfortunately you're stuck with a lovely view of my living room. Okay, so how is everybody? Hoping you're all okay, hoping that you've all had a good week. I am absolutely freezing, just as I thought it was going to get warm again. We all decided to get freezing cold. Twyla's cold as well, she says. So, yeah, we've got the heating back on, we've put the gas in the box, we're just like cranking up the blankets and, doing everything we can to keep warm again. It's like the middle of blooming winter. Roll on the spring. So, yeah, how is everybody? Right, this week I wanted to talk to you guys about dominance theory. Okay, now dominance theory is something that came about years and years and years ago, and it was a massive mistake, and it stuck. And unfortunately, our dogs have paid the price over the years. And I was going to talk to you guys about it because literally, I mean, I presumed that everybody pretty much knows that dominance theory, when it comes to dogs, is not really a thing. Okay, and something somebody said to me the other day just made me realise there are people still in the world who think that we have to dominate our dogs. Okay, people think that our dogs are trying to be the alpha in the pack, for example, and words like that. And to be honest, it's all a load of nonsense, right? So this idea that we have to dominate our dogs, we have to be in charge of our dogs, we have to be the boss of our dogs, we have to stop our dogs trying to dominate us, it's a load of crap. Okay, we should instead view our dogs like family members. Right, we work with them, we don't force them to do things, we ask them to do things, we cue them, we don't command them. There's these whole stupid ideas about, your dog shouldn't sit higher than you on the sofa because they might try and dominate you. Or if they walk through a door before you do, they're trying to dominate you. And it's all a load of rubbish, right? And all we're actually doing is confusing our dogs. We're teaching them that we are a bit crazy and not to be trusted, okay? So, what is dominance theory? Well, dominance theory was come up with by a guy called Rudolf Schenkel. And this was a long, long time ago. In fact, I should just have a quick look at my notes and tell you how long ago it was, hopefully. Sorry, make noises at my computer, it works better. So, Rudolf Schenkel, he was a Swiss animal behaviourist, and his work in the 1940s played a massive role in the idea of dominance theory. So what he did is he took a bunch of wolves and he put them into a captive situation, and then he observed them to see how they got on with each other, basically. And what happened was, it was a bit like the Big Brother house, yeah? So a bunch of wolves that had never met each other before all get shoved into this Big Brother wolf house, and then they have a limited supply of food, they have a limited supply of space, they have limited places to sleep, limited drinks. They might not necessarily all get on with each other. Those that do, those that don't, they really don't, and they can't get away from each other. And what happened is the bigger wolves, obviously, they've got no emotional connection to any of the other wolves. They decide they want the food. Yeah, they decide they want to sleep in certain places, they want to do certain things. So the bigger, stronger wolves got to eat the food. The bigger, stronger wolves got to sleep in the best places. The bigger, stronger wolves basically got the things that they wanted. And it kind of trickled down so that the smaller, weaker, maybe sickly wolves didn't have as much stuff. They were on the outskirts. They didn't have as much food. They didn't thrive as well as the big, strong wolves did. Okay? Now, from the big, strong wolves, Rudolf Schenkel decided that there had to be an alpha male and an alpha female. So that would be like the boss male and boss female. And that they were the ones that took all of the best resources and they were in charge of all the other wolves. If any of the other wolves tried to compete with them for resources, they would fight, and usually the bigger wolves would win. Okay, so he then decided that there was this idea of other wolves wanting to be the alpha. So the wolves were in a constant situation in his mind of all fighting each other to be the alpha, so they could get the best resources, the best food, the best sleeping spots, mate with the best females, etc., etc. And this way of thinking was then transferred to dogs, because it was then decided that dogs, being so closely related to wolves, had to think the same way. They were therefore expected to be wanting to be the alpha, and that was touted as the explanation for any dog behaviour problem that ever came up. They were trying to be the alpha. Okay, now then along comes a man called David Mech, and David Mech repeated some of these studies, and he actually wrote a book about dominance theory, and in it he said, well, yes, the wolves do this and the wolves do that, and we're watching them, and this is really happening. And then he sat back and he thought about it, and he realised that these wolves were all unrelated and they were in captivity. So he started to study other wolves, and he realised very quickly that wolves in the wild behaved very, very differently. They did have an alpha male and an alpha female, but it wasn't in the sense of them trying to take over the entire pack. They were more like the mum and dad of the family, yeah? So they were the mating pair, and then they would have children, and that some of those children would hang around for a couple of years and help to raise more children that belonged to the mum and the dad. Sometimes there would even be an older generation of wolves hanging around, like a nan and granddad, or maybe some aunts and uncles. Okay, but these wolves were acting like a family, and the bonded pair, the mating pair, they would raise their pups. They would all help each other raise the pups as well, and they would feed the puppies first a lot of the time. So the smallest members of the pack, they were getting fed first. The eldest members, they were being sheltered by the rest of the pack. So it was then decided by David Mech that these captive wolves, surprisingly enough, were not a very good example of wolf behaviour. But by that point, dominance theory had already been grabbed hold of by all these dog trainers, all these so-called animal experts, and they'd run with it. And because it made an easy answer to all the problems, your dog's trying to dominate you, basically you must punish them until they behave themselves, that people did not listen to him trying to re-explain the situation as it really was with families of wolves. And the other thing, surprisingly enough, is he decided that dogs are not wolves, right? Dogs are dogs. It's an entirely different species. Dogs have been, from the very beginning, they've evolved as a domestic species. They are not wild, okay? So they don't necessarily seek out packs of dogs like wolves live with packs of wolves. So we are not a pack, we are their family, okay? And not only that, is they also discovered, and this is the real big shocker, we are not wolves, we are humans. Our dogs know this, right? If they saw a wolf coming towards them, they would probably crap themselves and run away. If they see a human walking towards them, hopefully they don't have the same effect, right? They know that we're not wolves. They also probably know that we're not dogs. They just see us as family, okay? So when we have all this nonsense that people on the TV tell us about having to pin your dog down until they stop wriggling to show them who the boss is, or biting their ear to show them that you're the alpha, or putting your hand in their bowl to show them that you can, basically, and if they react, then they're in the wrong. All these stupid things that people get told to do in the name of being the alpha over our dog. There is no such thing as being an alpha over our dog. It just drives me nuts, right? And people are doing all these awful things, punishing the dogs, and for things the dogs haven't even done wrong, really. And there is absolutely no need for it. And the other thing is although we do need to have control of our dogs and our dogs' behaviour, we are not above them, right? We are their equals. We should be treating them as partners. We treat them like we should treat children. We know from science, we know from Dr. Greg Burns, one of my favourite ever scientists, that dogs actually think and feel like human children do. They have the same emotional range as 2.5-year-old children. So can you imagine if we were pinning down 2.5-year-old children until they stop wriggling and biting their ears and putting our hand in their food and, doing all these disastrous things? Well, that's what we're doing to our dogs. When we behave like that, that's exactly what we're doing, right? And it needs to stop. So anybody who thinks that they have a pack member or they are a pack member or that they need to be alpha over their dogs or all that nonsense, right? Please just send them in my direction, because I've got so many things that I could tell them that would actually make them, see differently. And also, when we treat our dogs with respect, we get more respect back from them. When we treat them with trust and we treat them with care and we treat them with kindness, then we get a better relationship with our dogs. Nobody ever had a good relationship with somebody who bullies them, okay? Now, when we think of dominance in humans, we think of bullies, we think of the abusive spouse, we think of the boss at work that's nasty to their employees. This is what dominating looks like in humans, okay? We don't want to do that to our animals, right? Anyway, so that's me on my soapbox for the week. I hope that you guys are all okay. If you need anything, please do give me a shout. Don't forget, tomorrow I'm on Radio Cambridgeshire at 11 o'clock, so do tune in if you've got time. If not, I'm sure there'll be a recording somewhere, but I'm quite excited because it's my second time there. And I will see you all next week. All right, bye guys.